go ahead and say that dating apps are out for 2024. We're done.
I think dating is dead.
Yes, I think dating is dead.
Okay, if dating is dead, who killed it?
Men.
I actually want you to chase me. Like, I want you to want to be in a committed relationship with me. I want you to be serious.
How old are you?
53.
At your age, have you found that dating has become easier or harder for you?
Absolutely harder.
So the world's like falling apart. So I know we're not like focused on dating. It's so hard to date. Like,
So I have a theory on why I think it's easier for men to date than for women. And it's very simple. It's because men have a lot more options and a lot better of options abundantly. Like, think about it. If a guy walks into a bar, the chances of him meeting a cool girl that he could potentially date are a lot higher than a girl walking into a bar and meeting a guy that she could potentially see herself dating. And that's just because men, the general population, has a lot higher creeper to cool ratio. And I'm not saying that there's not men that aren't creepy. There's a lot of men that aren't creepy, but they're just sometimes harder to find. Like, think about it. What do you need in a relationship? You need a girl that you can have fun with, you can talk to, that will be emotionally understanding, and those traits are a lot easier to find in women than they are in men. And I think this is also why you'll see girls get out of like 4-year relationships and not date for the next 4 years, but men will get out of a 4-year relationship and get into another serious relationship within the year.
So the news on the block is that Home Depot is supposedly the new spot to find a potential partner. And this has opened our eyes to how far women have to go to find a partner. And the bigger question, where are all the single men? This has us thinking about how fast the dating game has changed, you know? These days, it's so easy for people to hop on dating apps like Tinder and find a whole database of potential matches with just a few swipes. And that's led to this cycle of love bombing and minimal effort, where guys just move on to the next as soon as things get a little tough. Alright, let's talk about something that's been on a lot of people's minds lately: dating standards. You see, there's this idea floating around that many women have these unrealistic standards that are actually keeping them single. They're holding on to these lofty expectations that are just not realistic, and it's making it hard for them to find a connection. But here's the thing. Most guys today aren't willing to chase after someone who's constantly moving the goalposts or playing hard to get. It's just not worth the hassle. So, if you're finding yourself single and wondering why, it might be time to take a look at your own dating standards and see if they're holding you back. One common misconception is that men have been influenced by social media to believe that women are all hardcore feminists who don't want anything serious. But in reality, there are plenty of women out there who are looking for the same things you are. It's all about being upfront about your desires and finding someone who's on the same page as you. But let's address something most men also consider: divorce rates. Over 50% of marriages end in divorce, and what's even more eye-opening is that 70 to 80% of those divorces are initiated by the woman. From a guy's perspective, it feels like there's a lot at stake. If he messes up, he could lose everything in court. And even if the woman messes up, he's still the one who ends up losing. It's a tough pill to swallow. There's another harsh reality that many guys face: the feeling that they're only loved if they provide something. It's a tough pill to swallow, but for many men out there, it's a reality they have to deal with. This idea that women, dogs, and children are loved unconditionally, while men are only valued for what they can bring to the table, can really take a toll on a guy's self-esteem. But here's the thing. Some guys are refusing to settle for this kind of treatment. Instead of sticking around in relationships where they feel undervalued, they're choosing to explore their options. And I'm not just talking about swiping left and right on dating apps. I'm talking about grabbing their passports and venturing out into the world in search of something better. You see, there's this saying, there are plenty of fish in the sea, and some guys are taking that quite literally. They're expanding their horizons and looking beyond their hometowns for women who might be more aligned with their values and expectations. And who can blame them? When you feel like you're not getting the love and respect you deserve, sometimes the best thing to do is to cast a wider net and see what else is out there. Now, I'm not saying that packing your bags and jetting off to foreign lands is the solution to all your relationship problems, but for some guys, it's a way to shake things up and break out of the cycle of disappointment. And who knows, you might just find that the grass really is greener on the other side. So, if you're feeling stuck in a relationship where you're not being treated the way you deserve, don't be afraid to take matters into your own hands. Whether it's exploring new dating opportunities or simply having a heart-to-heart with your partner about your needs, remember that you deserve to be loved and valued for who you are, not just for what you can provide. And if that means stepping out of your comfort zone and taking a chance on something new, then so be it. After all, life's too short to settle for anything less than you deserve. Now let's shift our focus to another aspect of this issue, using sex as a coping mechanism. Some women turn to meaningless encounters in an attempt to fill a void inside them. But here's the thing. It's just a temporary band-aid for a much deeper problem. The walks of shame, the blackouts, the anxiety, it's all part of a vicious cycle that's incredibly difficult to break free from. You see, when you use sex as a way to cope with your emotions, you're essentially avoiding dealing with the root cause of your pain. Instead of confronting your feelings head-on and finding healthy ways to address them, you're burying them beneath layers of temporary pleasure. And while it might provide some relief in the moment, it's only a matter of time before those unresolved issues come bubbling back up to the surface. Now, let's talk about feminism. It's largely on the forefront on why single men want to remain single. Don't get me wrong, equality is absolutely important, but sometimes we might take it a bit too far. Sure, there's nothing wrong with a little old-fashioned chivalry, right? I mean, who doesn't appreciate a gentleman holding the door open or offering his seat? It's those small gestures that can make someone's day a little brighter. But here's where things get a bit tricky. When we start pushing men out of certain roles just for the sake of feminism, it can create discomfort and imbalance. See, feminism is all about advocating for equal rights and opportunities for everyone, regardless of gender. And that's something we should all be on board with. Many women are waking up to the harsh reality that maybe feminism hasn't delivered on all its promises. And you know what? They've got a point. Feminism has empowered women in so many ways, but it's also created this expectation that we can do it all, have a great career, be a supermom, change the tires, you name it. But here's the thing. Women can't do it all, and expecting them to is setting them up for failure. See, there's this idea that if you're a powerful woman, you can't also be a loving wife and mother. But that's just plain wrong. We need to embrace the natural balance between men and women, because that's where the magic happens. Feminism has brought about incredible progress for women, but it's also led to unrealistic expectations and missed opportunities. It's time to find a new way forward, one that honors the natural balance between men and women and allows us to live our best lives. And speaking of discomfort, let's not forget about the whole Home Depot debacle. Apparently, women are out here scouting for husbands at hardware stores now. They are pretending to be damsels in distress, yet no man comes to their rescue. Can you believe it? That's to show bad things have gotten. Sure, finding love is great and all, but there's got to be a better way than lurking in the aisles of Home Depot. Another point men are using to throw a gap at women is the issue of body count. Some men out there are making a big fuss about high body counts, but let's keep it real. Everyone's got a past. It's not about the number of partners someone has had, it's about how they treat you in the present. And if someone's hung up on your past, they're probably not worth your time anyway. And speaking of time, let's talk about age. Can we please stop with the whole best by date nonsense? Age is just a number, and it doesn't determine your worth or desirability. So what if you're 31? You're still fabulous, and anyone who thinks otherwise is seriously missing out. Now, let's shift gears and talk about relationships. Splitting bills and responsibilities can be a touchy subject, but it's important to find a balance that works for both parties. It's not about keeping score or trying to one-up each other. It's about teamwork and mutual respect. And let's not forget about the pressure to settle down and start a family. Just because society says you should be married with kids by a certain age doesn't mean you have to follow that script. Your worth isn't tied to your relationship status or reproductive capabilities. At the end of the day, it's important to remember that finding love is about more than just checking off a list of qualities in a partner. It's about building a genuine connection with someone who makes you happy and supports you. So, If you find yourself constantly chasing after impossible standards, it might be time to reevaluate what's truly important to you in a relationship. Who knows? You might just find that love is closer than you think. Alright guys, we've come to the end of this video, and if you enjoyed it, do well to click on the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to check other videos on our playlist. We've got some amazing contents for you. See you in our next video.